Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, and welcome to the Metropolitan Council's 2016 State of the Region Address. I'm Elizabeth Couts, Mayor of the City of Burnsville. Thank you. In just a few moments, we will welcome our keynote speaker, our chairman, Adam Duininck. But first, I'd like to thank you all for joining us here at the Ames Center in Burnsville for this important event. It's not often that this address is held outside of Minneapolis and St. Paul, so we in Burnsville are honored that the chairman chose to come south of the river to be inclusive, that we are a great region, and that Burnsville is happy to host the State of the Region for 2016. So, Chairman Duininck, thank you for choosing Burnsville. I hope you all enjoyed the free parking. Just yesterday, I held my 21st annual State of the City address right here in this building, the Ames Center. Yes. One of the focus areas in my address was ensuring that Burnsville continues to be a caring and compassionate city, dedicated to partnerships and coming together to get things done. Chairman Duininck will be speaking a lot today on partnerships, collaborations, and engagement. And I'd like to take just a minute to tell you about how we incorporate those same values here in Burnsville. In Burnsville, we take great pride in our long-term budgeting and financial planning, helping to reduce the impact of inflation and unforeseen expenses. To do this, we continue to explore new ways to raise revenue rather than only relying on the property tax, including a number of partnerships with private businesses and organizations and grant opportunities. We are proud of our AAA bond rating from both Standard & Poor's and Moody's. Our police department focuses on community policing and building lasting relationships with our residents and our businesses. These relationships are so important, especially in today's environment, and would not be possible if every officer didn't live up to the department's core values of knowledge, integrity, honor, courage, and excellence. Like our police department, our firefighter paramedics are a shining example of the benefits of partnerships and collaboration. Our fire department, along with our South Metro departments, are carefully studying the findings and recommendations of a shared service study that was conducted last year. To deal with increased calls over the next 10 years, the study presented a variety of potential opportunities for even more collaboration between neighboring departments, something we are looking forward to and very closely. We will be engaging our community partners over the next 2 years to update our 2040 comprehensive plan. We work closely with the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency and the Environmental Protection Agency to finally bring safe closure to Burnsville's freeway landfill and ensure safe drinking water and develop land in the future. We are working with the county and the state on a number of transportation projects, including bus rapid transit, a station that was recently approved in Burnsville, right here in the heart of the city, just north of this facility and a little bit to the east. And finally, Burnsville remains dedicated to partnering with our community organizations, our businesses, our residents, to provide outstanding service, clean and safe neighborhoods, and opportunities for people to get together, have fun, and enjoy their city. Perhaps most importantly is our continued collaboration with our local school district. As part of the collaboration, Vision 191, that group consisting of the school, the city, our businesses, and local leaders, we are focusing on making sure that each student is real-world ready. The success of our schools is so important in developing our future talent. As you can see, here in Burnsville, we know that we can accomplish great things together. Much more if we try to do it alone. We in Burnsville believe that we can always make a difference by doing things together, partnering, collaborating, and being inclusive. With that, I would like to now welcome Metropolitan Council member for our district, Stephen Chavez.
Well, good morning, region. Welcome to Burnsville, our district, the heart of the city. I'd like to take a few comments, there's a few minutes, talk about the heart, possibly of Met Council as well. So, the Ames Center here, as far as the location, my wife and I have been here several times. This is a fabulous facility. It's representative of as far as the heart of this community, the district, the county, and part of the region. It doesn't have to be all limited to the core cities. Also, I'd like to thank the mayor for her leadership as far as in the city and in the region for one of the things that are near and dear to my heart as far as affordable housing. The city leads the region pretty much in that category. I've been asked to speak for just a minute or two as far as the role a Met Council serves in conjunction with all the various levels of government. For those in the audience or the readers or the viewers of this program wonder how the relationship works. Each of the cities, the counties, the state, and the Met Council serve various integrated roles. There's very little overlap, and each of those roles are very vital. In the Met Council's role as far as planning for the region, but in addition to, we're an operating business as far as wastewater treatment, provision of some, not all, because of the fabulous work that MVTA does with regard to delivery of transit services. It's been an exciting year for the past 12 months, particularly with a new chair. So we'd like to share a video with you for a few minutes, and then I'll come back with a few more comments. So enjoy the video.
In 9 of the last 10 years, transit ridership has grown. And the last time that transit ridership has grown at such a sustained rate was the years up to 1916. So it's been 100 years since we've had this kind of sustained ridership growth, and we are just right now on the cusp of, I think, being able to really extend that with the metro system build-out that we're planning.
Our customers that came to us and said, we'd like to get on your waiting list, almost all of them said one of the key reasons is because light rail is stopping right in front of your front door. We like the immediate access to transportation to downtown St. Paul, downtown Minneapolis, switch to the Blue Line, head to the airport, have access to the world.
I painted a mural on the column of keys, and I just took my paints on the light rail and went down and walked in and rolled in, painted. When I finished, I rolled it back to the light rail, came back. I'm a block away or half a block away from that stop. This is giving people the mobility to change their lives.
70 to 80% of the people who use transit on a daily basis do so to either go to work or to go to school. And so we're linking people's lives in ways that they view as valuable and cost effective.
People, places, and connections is all that it's about. And anything else, there isn't anything else. That's it right there.
Equity means connecting all residents to viable options for transportation, for housing, for recreation. And promoting equity also includes engaging a full cross-section of the community in decision-making.
The Met Council, with the participation of the community and various community people, have already set a precedence for what we're doing today.
I think it's a responsibility that we have, not only as an agency, but as a community, to make sure that our elected officials, our appointed officials, look like our communities, and in true essence, convey the feelings of a community.
But I want to say today that this body here is responsible for doing some good things that put Minnesota on the top and set the modeling for an example of what we're doing and the continuation of that with the Community Engagement Steering Committee.
When I think about the equity work that the council is doing, this is one important piece, outreach and engagement, that fits into other work that we're also doing internally here. And this is just such a big priority for me and for the whole council. You could obviously hear that from what we've expressed today.
The power generated by the sun behind us will provide 10% of this wastewater plant's annual energy needs. And that's good for I think it was 300,000 residents that are served by this facility. It saves energy, it saves money, and it's good for the environment as well.
We've been really pleased to work with the Met Council. They really are at a unique place in sort of environmental issues and environmental planning in the Twin Cities because they're a regional planning agency. They have a number of really important roles in thinking about how, as we grow as a community, how we can grow in a sustainable way that doesn't degrade or detract from our natural resources.
A bus that was in operation as recently as 10 to 12 years ago emitted more from its tailpipe than 90 buses that are on the street today. And in fact, we are experimenting right now with the next generation of hybrid buses that are using a combination of electric and clean diesel energy. What's coming out of the tailpipe of a bus today has less emissions, it's actually cleaner than the air you breathe walking down the Nicollet Mall.
The council has 3 types of internship. We have the regular internships, we have the urban scholars, and the high school internships. One of the things that I love the most about my position is that I am being part of that gateway to those students. That feeling of accomplishment, of satisfaction that you're doing a good job for the benefit of others as well. That, it's not just about me, but I am also trying to push future talent into the workforce and hopefully, help them to be successful and give them all the resources necessary.
What's it like for your son to have you get your uniform on every day and head out the door?
He loves it. He's really happy, and he tells me that he wants to be a police officer just like me when he grows up. And I couldn't be more happy.
The reality is we have, I think, the basis for a lot of pride in this region for thinking in a very proactive way about how we use our resources and how we work together. And that's a strong tradition that I think we should be proud of and we should be talking about.
The unit that monitors our rivers and streams, the receiving waters that accept the effluent from our facilities, they have done a great job through the years analyzing and evaluating the health of that environment so that we can make decisions about additional improvements we might need to do to our facilities to address remaining environmental concerns. The staff that operate our facilities and get the wastewater to our facilities to be treated are truly unsung heroes. That there's a lot of hard work that goes on in getting that job done and dealing with situations that create challenges. That's all out of sight of the public, and we actually pride ourselves in staying off the radar because then we know we are doing the job that we intend to do.
I really like when you come together as a group and you're coming together from all different perspectives, and it isn't easy. It's always hard, and the work that we do, particularly with Met Council, is really hard. But if you get it right, it can really help people move forward and have a good quality of life. And that our region is known for that, and to be able to add to that is really. It's a privilege, frankly, and I try really hard to honor that privilege.
Hopefully that's given you a little bit more insight as to the dynamics of what the team is really about. I'd like to introduce our featured speaker for this morning, the chair. When I was thinking about just some opening comments, most of the time I know what I do is start digging into work right away. And when I hear people introduce each other, talking about, well, what do you do? And what I'd like to do is flip that around a little bit and talk about the person, Rat first, then what he does. And there's no embarrassing things in here, so don't worry about it. Yeah, we'll see. As I understand it, though, the chair rode his recently received fat tire bike here to burn off the donuts that he's been consuming with his kids on Sundays at a couple of local donut shops. So thanks for doing that multimodal. He's not a native of the region. He grew up in Wilmer. From his family, basically, I think a core theme that I think will resonate with you, it does with me as far as, comes from a family of construction. So it's not just about the construction, it's about designing systems. So he's a son, a spouse, a dad, a couple of kids, enjoys biking, multimodal as I referred to, a runner, and he was appointed by the governor 12 months ago. First time that we have a full-time chair for the council, which I think is a unique opportunity. He was first appointed 5 years ago. Most of us were joined that same class. And he was the chair for the Transportation Committee. His background is in transportation policy and planning. And he's previously served as a legislative director for the International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 49. So that's the person, the best I can describe. So with that, Mr. Chair, take it over.
Good morning. Good morning, and welcome to Burnsville. It's such a pleasure to be here. Pleased to be here with you at the beautiful Ames Center, second day in a row. I was able to be here yesterday for Mayor Kautz's State of the Region speech, or State of the City speech, rather, and I want to thank her for her warm welcome and for being here. Appreciate that. I also want to thank Councilmember Steve Chavez for his generous introduction, and also as his service as a Metropolitan Council member. His dedication and willingness to build partnerships in his district epitomizes the high caliber council members who I'm proud here to serve with. And at this moment, I ask all the Metropolitan Council members to stand and be recognized for their service. Before I get into the speech, I want to just tell a quick little story. I was on the way home last night. I took the bus home, and I was getting off at my stop, and the guy pulled in, and he was letting me out, and he goes, "So which department do you work in?" And I said, "Well, actually, I'm the chair of the Met Council." He said, "Oh, wow. So do you work under Brian Lamb?" And I get that more often from our police department and from our operators. They all assume I work under Brian. And I said, "Well, some days it feels like that. Other days Brian answers to me." And And then he said, well, what are you doing riding the bus? I said, I just like to ride the bus. It's nice to be driven around, and I get work done, and I meet a lot of fun people, and it's an important part of my job. And he said, well, what's your name? And I said, Adam. And he said, well, I'm Tangine. So I say, hello, Tangine. He said he was going to watch today. He said, I'm off tomorrow. I'll watch your speech. I'll watch it online or catch up with it. So I just think that his attitude and his dedication to his job just typifies, what Lisa said in the video about the silent heroes, the unsung heroes of the council, the men and women that keep our buses and trains on time when the weather isn't the best. Last week was particularly a challenging week. They keep the sewage moving through the system and keep the spills at a minimum or from happening at all, and keep that wastewater system working for us, as well as all the other important functions of the council. But it's a beautiful day in the region. That's how I used to like to start many of my speeches. And today I want to take some time and reflect on the past year and how much we have accomplished together in partnership. And I want to look forward to a future that will be determined by innovative collaboration and problem solving that we as regional leaders choose to undertake. I've been chair of the Metropolitan Council for just over a year, and when I stepped in this role, I received a lot of invitations, a lot of advice, and some constructive criticisms. Mayors in Carver County wanted to show me their city's development and transportation needs. Local elected officials in Washington County wanted to better understand the council's role in water resource planning. In Anoka County, officials wanted to talk with us about suburban poverty and rail safety issues. And Dakota County Board had questions about the council's recently adopted policy plans. And I spent time all over the region hearing from different counties and cities along the way. And ultimately, they all wanted to talk with me about the Metropolitan Council's role in helping them to achieve their goals. And for me, this is about partnerships. The council unquestionably needed to strengthen its relationship with elected leaders and the communities we directly impact, which is why building those partnerships has been and will continue to be such a top priority for me. Partnerships takes many forms, and I found that the council is and should be primarily engaged in three types of partnerships. And the first is collaborative partnerships. We can point to a number of examples of collaborative partnerships right here south of the river, great examples of cities doing really impressive work. In Burnsville, I've spent some time with Mayor Couts outside the last few days, but also just over the last number of months, learning about the development here at the heart of the city, the history of it, her vision and the community's vision of making it real, and how that can connect then with the Orange Line and the future transit build-out that we're planning. The city of Eagan was recently recognized for their innovative planning and visioning work that they're doing with the residents. And it's an important reminder that great regional planning and local planning need to go hand in hand, and I want to thank Mayor McGuire and the City of Eagan for their leadership. Last spring, I attended the State of the City address that Mayor Heyman Rowland gave at the City of Apple Valley, and she talked about partnerships between area businesses like Uponor, the residents, the school district, and how they can integrate science, technology, engineering, and math with some of the job opportunities in their area. And they also stressed, the City of Apple Valley, that is, the Red Line BRT investment, how important that's been and how they've been able to leverage that for an additional $270 million in development in the City of Eagan and Apple Valley. These types of collaborative partnerships are bringing many stakeholders to the table to work in cooperation, and it's certainly something that the Met Council believes in and employs. For me, working in collaboration is all about relationships. It sounds basic, but I can't tell you how significant it has been for this job to be a full-time job. It's a big region. The council interacts with so many people and elected leaders, and it's important for them to hear from me directly, and more importantly, for me to be out there listening to everybody around the region. And when it comes to engagement partnerships, a second kind of partnership, the council's role is about providing resources and support and engaging communities to understand what their aspirations are now and how we can help get them there. It is our job to care about the success of every community in the region. So why should city leaders in Blaine or Brooklyn Park or Stillwater or Savage or Anoka or Afton care about the success of the other cities in the region? We need to all care because of the success of each region, of each city is a success for all of us in the region. A thriving region is built on the foundation of many strong communities united. We've long understood in the metropolitan region that challenges and markets are not confined by city boundaries or county lines. It's this very idea that is at the root of why the Metropolitan Council was formed in 1967, nearly 50 years ago. The council was created in part to address a crisis of contaminated lakes and rivers, And today our region reaps the benefit of a regional approach to water, while fellow Americans in places like California and Flint, Michigan experience problems with poor water quality and limited water supply that can be traced back to a lack of government cooperation and accountability. And in addition to water, there are a number of other critical issues emerging back in 1967 that were bigger than one community. The expansion of the highway system, the need for preservation of open space, a deteriorating transit system, and a clear lack of affordable housing options. And what our leaders realized is that we were at a crossroads and deciding whether or not we wanted to be a major league metropolitan area in this country or not. This brings me to a third type of partnership I want to highlight, the partnership that helps us compete together as a region. My strong passion and belief in regionalism is one of the reasons I'm standing here today. I know that planning, operating, and working together at a regional level is needed more now than ever. And with so many significant challenges, I believe that we will only move our region forward if we continue to work in collaboration and to develop new partnerships with regionalism guiding our decisions. And I know that sometimes regionalism or relationships can get strained, and that's okay, but my pledge to you, for me, and to that I know the council is here too, that we want to be accessible, transparent, and accountable to you, the region. I'm always proud when I get to share with people that our region has some of the most affordable wastewater treatment rates in the country. It's a well-kept secret. Our environmental services philosophy is one water, a philosophy that acknowledges that groundwater, surface water, wastewater treatment, and the water quality of our lakes, streams, and rivers are all linked. And when it comes to water, I've been clear that the Metropolitan Council is one of many stakeholders. Rather than seeing this as a challenge, I see it as an asset. It means different approaches to solving a problem. It means there are many ways to hold one accountable. It also means working cooperatively can realize us cost savings, energy efficiencies, and having a mutually shared self-interest. And over the next several years, the council will spend about $130 million annually to continue the upkeep of our regional wastewater interceptors and wastewater plants. To make these investments as efficient as possible, we are collaborating with many communities across the 7-county metro. Our environmental services staff recently partnered with industrial water users to design an incentive program. And through that program, we're encouraging area industries to pre-treat their dirty water first, instead of sending it massive amounts of industrial dirty water to our regional wastewater plants. This program saves money for the region. We reduce energy consumption in our treatment plants and eliminate the need for future plant expansions. And I want to thank Councilmember Sandy Rummel and the Chair of the Environment Committee and the Environment Committee for all their great work in supporting our environmental services staff. The issues around affordable wastewater infrastructure, water quality, and sustainability were not going to get any easier in the coming years. Partnerships with private industry, local governments, state agencies, the legislature, and the governor will continue to be crucial. And I'm looking forward to participating in Governor Dayton's Water Summit later this month. I know many of you will probably be there as well. This type of collaborative partnership allows us to be good stewards of public resources, not just taxpayer dollars, but of our own resources as well. Our wastewater system consistently achieves near perfect compliance with state and federal standards, and we do so while holding our rates 40% below the national average. We took another important step forward last spring, or this past year rather, partnering with Xcel Energy, Sun Edison, Oakleaf Energy to open a solar garden at the Blue Lake wastewater plant in Shakopee. The solar garden will provide savings to 300,000 customers in the Southwest metro area. The project itself would not have been possible without a $2 million grant from Xcel Energy's Renewable Development Fund. I know Chris Clark, Regional President of Xcel Energy, is here today, and I want to thank him for Xcel's strong commitment to our public-private partnership. Our future is filled with many more opportunities to collaborate as we explore ways to incorporate green options for solar powering our operations, as well as electric buses, as we're prominently featured in the video. I spent much of the past year focused on strengthening and building relationships. As I listened to local leaders, it was clear that they wanted more support, more technical assistance, and more resources as they shape the growth and development of their communities. As I start my second year as chair, this focus will certainly continue. As communities embark on the 2040 planning cycle, the Council is responding to requests for support and resources and engaging more than ever before. Last year, we made more resources available online, and with our recently updated local planning handbook, we are providing easy access to industry best practices in order to make the process as simple as possible. For communities who are most in need, the council has approved 1.8 million, I'll get to 1.8 billion later, 1.8 million in planning grants for them to help offset the cost of updating their comprehensive plans. We will also offer direct mapping services to smaller communities and launch a series of training workshops to bring learning opportunities directly to community planners. And I was struck particularly by one comment that Mayor Kaut said yesterday about different communities. Some of them are, it's a blank canvas. We're going in there and we're figuring out what we develop and there's nothing there. But a lot of other communities are puzzles and trying to figure out how the puzzles fit together. And I thought that imagery made a lot of sense from a community planning standpoint, as well as thinking about the puzzles of which the partnerships need to fit together. One of the key issues facing communities right now is how to promote housing options that give people in all stages and of all economic means viable choices for safe, reliable, and affordable housing. Last year, the council, which operates the largest housing choice voucher program in the metro region, launched our Community Choice program. Community Choice is based on our commitment to equity. Through this program, families receive pre-move counseling, including financial literacy and goal setting, housing search assistance, and post-move counseling to ensure success in their new neighborhood. The program outreach efforts began late last year, and while the program is still in its infancy, we're already working with 45 families. I want to thank the Community Development Committee and Chair Gary Cunningham for his leadership, as well as the Community Development Team and HRA, who has helped put this idea into action. Community Choice would not have come together without the Council's dedication to partnerships. It has taken diligent engagement by participating landlords, city and community leaders, philanthropic and nonprofit partners, and the families of our region to get this program off the ground. Because this program is all about helping people connect to opportunity. And I know that there's a disagreement at times about how best to invest in affordable housing. We need to move away from the false choice that is often presented, whether we invest in communities to revitalize their neighborhoods or whether residents need to leave their chosen communities to so-called high opportunity areas to find housing and access to jobs and amenities. It's not an either-or question. Our goal at the Metropolitan Council is to advocate for choices, for our region's residents to live where they choose. We must actively pursue both pathways to prosperity and invest in places equitably so we're providing real choices to families in the region. And one of the biggest challenges our region faces is the lack of affordable housing, particularly multifamily housing. And I'm proud in 2014, the legislature and Governor Dayton invested over exactly $100 million in affordable housing. And I'm pleased to see an additional $90 million in the governor's state bonding proposal this spring. As the demand for affordable housing grows, funding for affordable housing at the federal level has continued to drop. Cities, counties, lawmakers, service providers, and the development community, as well as other key stakeholders, will have to be creative and nimble and willing to work together in collaboration if we're going to meet the growing need for safe, affordable homes in a vibrant and diverse community across the region. The Council's housing policy plan is helping to build those partnerships by assisting all communities as they develop a full range of housing options, including affordable housing. Last year when I was in Seattle with the Minneapolis and St. Paul Regional Chamber visit, I was struck by what a prominent local leader said to us about one of our key assets. He said, you have a specific resource in your region, your parks and open spaces. Keep investing in it. Expand it and maintain it, because in the future it will be a competitive advantage as you attract families and future residents to live in the Minneapolis and St. Paul region. We're fortunate to have beautiful parks and open spaces. Our regional park system covers nearly 55,000 acres and includes more than 340 miles of connected trails. And clearly that asset is no secret. Our parks are nationally renowned for their beauty and greatness. The high-quality parks didn't happen without deliberate leadership and partnerships that span communities of our region and generations of leaders. The Council has the responsibility of developing and funding a long-range vision for our regional parks. And we work in partnership with the Metropolitan Parks and Open Space Commission, regional park implementing agencies, local communities, and state partners to care for and expand the regional park system to provide an interconnected regional park and trail network that promotes access and equitable use for all. This partnership is unlike any other in the nation and a shining example of the type of regional success we can attain when a regional vision is in mind. While there are many strengths that help us as a region compete, we also have huge shortcomings that hold our region back. Much like our parks, our disparities are no secret. Year after year, we hear about the gap that continues to widen, whether it's in home ownership, unemployment, income, or educational outcomes. These racial disparities are shameful and unacceptable. They don't reflect the type of community I want to raise my family in, nor the values that ground my life as a Minnesotan. But these disparities aren't just immoral. They hold us back from being a stronger and more vibrant region. Equity is the superior growth model. It is a priority that I want the council to be focused on every day in all the things we do, whether housing, parks, or our own internal policy. At the council, we have made progress toward a workforce that more properly reflects the communities we serve. And in the last 4 years, the council moved from having 27% of employees of color to 31%. And in the same period, we moved from having 12.2% managers of color to 15.7%. And while our overall workforce numbers are encouraging, we have more work to do if we're going to have managers and supervisors that look like the region we serve. I'm proposing as our goal that 20% of managers will be people of color by 2018. I know we can do it if we are intentional. I'm proposing that I've directed our council to look for ways to eliminate the biases and barriers in recruitment, application, and interview process. And I want to acknowledge the progress that has already been made, but we need to push ourselves to do even better. We've made significant progress in diversifying the Metro Transit Police Department. I'm pleased to say that in 2011, the workforce was 5% diverse, and today we're 30% of our police force are women and people of color. And when Chief John Harrington presented these numbers to the council earlier this year, I asked him how he attracted and retained a much more diverse workforce. He gave a simple answer. He said, first, be intentional. Second, measure your results. And third, look at the barriers in the process that might be unintentionally removing qualified candidates from the pool. We are engaging more people and inviting them in to be a part of our decision-making process from the very beginning. And soon we will have a new committee and an avenue for that engagement called our Equity Advisory Committee. I'm excited to report that we received over 100 applications from across the region to serve on this committee. And the interview panel is so ambitious that they're interviewing with every applicant who applied. Once chosen, this committee will advise the council on how to best address racial disparities in our projects, policymaking, and other practices. I know talking about race and systemic discrimination can make us all a little uncomfortable, but it's an important part of identifying the cause of the disparities and being intentional and focused on correcting them, and then finally holding ourselves accountable to do much better individually and collectively. We at the council have some great partners committed to eliminating disparities and making our region stronger. Mayor Betsy Hodges and Mayor Chris Coleman continue to make equity a centerpiece of their city's work. And there's been leadership shown by a number of partners across the region, which demonstrates that equity is something we must address soon and move from talk to action. Another way that the council can contribute to a more equitable region is through transit. In a recent Harvard study of upward mobility, commuting times emerged as the single strongest factor in the odds of escaping poverty. The longer an average commute time in a given county, the worse the chances are for a low-income family to move up the ladder. The relationship between transportation and social mobility was stronger than the relationship between other factors such as crime, elementary school test scores, or the percentage of two-parent families in a community. So we're serious about having an impact on disparities in the region. We must look at the impacts of transit and transportation investments. To compete as a region, we need a robust transit system, one that accommodates the anticipated future growth, that makes more efficient use of our current infrastructure, that gives people transportation options and connects people more directly to the jobs and opportunity in the region. Governor Dayton and Lieutenant Governor Smith have put forward an ambitious transportation plan and spent time out and around the state and region talking about the need for these crucial investments. This isn't roads against transit. We need to embrace a vision to build and maintain both. Commissioner Charlie Zelle and I understand the linkage between both systems. Transportation is about mobility, economic competitiveness, and strong communities. But most importantly, transportation is about people. This session is really a make or break moment for our transportation infrastructure, and I remain cautiously optimistic that House, Senate, and administration leaders can work together to pass a bill that is comprehensive, bipartisan, and solves for our roads, bridges, and transit needs in the metro area as well as throughout the state of Minnesota. A plan for a regional transit system includes new shelters with heat and light. It includes investments for 47 additional busways and 76 expanded lines. It includes more frequent service for 1 million riders across the region. The next important step up that ladder in our transit vision is to complete the Southwest LRT project, the Green Line extension from Minneapolis through the cities of St. Louis Park, Hopkins, Minnetonka, and Eden Prairie. It's no secret that the proposed Southwest LRT project has faced its share of challenges, and I'm here to tell you I couldn't be more hopeful about the project. And I want to thank all the mayors, council members, county board members for their steadfast support over the last number of months. We must still complete the environmental analysis with the Federal Transit Agency and secure the remaining local funds. The state share of $135 million will accompany over $740 million in local funds from the county's Transit Improvement Board, Hennepin County, and the other cities along the corridor. This project will leverage $1.8 billion investment, creating thousands of jobs today while connecting with people with jobs of the future. The President yesterday expressed that he shares my confidence in the future of Southwest LRT. He included it in his federal budget to the tune of $125 million for next year. There's real urgency this spring, and again, I want to state, I remain cautiously optimistic that we can do a regional sales tax to enhance our metro area transit system. The other project with a critical deadline for the council this spring is one that we are very close to here, the Orange Line BRT project, which runs from downtown Minneapolis right to this community, Burnsville, with a proposed phase 2 to Lakeville. The Orange Line typifies how the future of transitway in a region depends on buses and should make more efficient use of our existing infrastructure. Today alone, the I-35W corridor carries over 14,000 transit riders a day, and that number is proposed to double by 2040. At peak traffic, buses make up 1% of the vehicles on the road, but carry 24% of the commuters. Remember, the bus is the backbone of our transit system. The project's remaining state share for the Orange Line is $12 million, and it's essential in 2016. This investment will leverage an additional $138 million to deliver a project in partnership with MnDOT, and there are over $300 million in improvements to 35W that they have planned. Well, Southwest LRT and Orange Line are the immediate needs. What we're really stressing here is a vision of a network that connects with every major destination in the region. It is a full system that connects to 12 of the 14 Fortune 500 companies in the region. It connects to universities and college campuses. It connects an additional 1 million people to a transit commute of 30 minutes or less. An investment in the network is an investment in the region. The Blue Line extension, or Botno LRT, is the line that continues from downtown Minneapolis through the communities of Golden Valley, Robbinsdale, Crystal, and Brooklyn Park. This project is presently working its way through the municipal consent process, and I'm glad that we have had robust citizen engagement from the Minneapolis Park Board and other stakeholders from the very beginning. And I want to thank Councilmember Schreiber, the chair of the Transportation Committee, for her leadership on this project. I also want to mention the Gold Line BRT, which is an important bus rapid transit project in the East Metro that we've been working closely with Washington and Ramsey counties. Both of these corridors provide important regional balance to a transit system while also serving the communities who are excited about planned future transitway development. And another East Metro project I'm very excited to tell you about this morning is the A-Line. A first of its kind arterial bus rapid transit line, the A-Line will connect the Blue Line to the Green Line through the communities of Roseville, Falcon Heights, St. Paul, and Minneapolis. And I'm pleased to say that the A-Line will open 4 months from today on June 11th. These are generational investments, and that is why these corridors can take years to study in advance, but the time is now to move our region forward for investing in our transit system for tomorrow. As the Metropolitan Council continues to make the emphatic case for transit investments, it's an important thing to reflect on the successes we can celebrate over the last few years. We've added a number of key transitways to the regional network, from the Red Line BRT to the Green Line on University Avenue, and we're finally beginning to see what a regional system looks like. In the last year, Metro Transit has also made vital improvements in our bus shelters, facilities, and signage around the region, adding and repairing hundreds of shelters across the system. We continue to improve our social media outreach, our technological enhancements, and other parts of the service that allows us to better connect and communicate with our customers. I'm also very pleased about the innovative partnerships with Our Car and exploring fare synchronization with bike sharing programs and car sharing programs. Those last mile connections are so important. They're so critical everywhere, both in suburban communities, exurban communities, and in the urban core. By every metric, these transit investments have been enormously successful. Whether we are celebrating record ridership or adding up the dollars invested along the corridors, the track record is one I would argue is filled with enormous value for the people of our region. And smart infrastructure investments also lead to development opportunities. And a couple of years ago, the Metropolitan Council adopted a transit-oriented development policy guide to continue better integration of our community development and our transit investments. I'm also excited at the opportunity that one of our own properties, Metro Transit owns, can help facilitate a transformational development known as the Snelling Bus Barn site. We still have a few details to iron out with the City of St. Paul, but I'm confident we will get there, and we wouldn't be in this position today if it wasn't for the leadership of Mayor Chris Coleman and the City of St. Paul. It's an exciting time in the region. We are living in a modern-day transit renaissance. The demand and ridership has increased 10 of the last 11 years, as you saw in the video. This is the highest number of transit trips our region has seen in decades, almost nearly 100 million rides. And we accomplished this with the partnership of County Transit Improvement Board, and I want to recognize the leadership of Peter McLaughlin and other county commissioners for their commitment to a strong partnership and their vision of an accessible, affordable transit that connects the entire region. And we accomplished this through collaboration with key stakeholders like MnDOT, the Transportation Advisory Board, with an understanding that transportation isn't just about transit, it's about freight, highways, roads, bridges, and how they all work together as one system. And we accomplished this with the strong support of legislators, many of who are in the room, Frank Hornstein and Senator Scott Dibble, and others who are here that have been unequivocal supporters of transit, road, and bridge infrastructure at the Capitol. And we accomplished this with the collaboration and planning and operating with the suburban transit providers, many of which are here as well today. And we accomplished this with the efforts of business groups that have had a regional focus, like the Downtown Council, the Minneapolis Chamber, the St. Paul Chamber. And I want to recognize Todd Klingel for his leadership, too. And we accomplished this with the strong operational track record of Metro Transit, providing a reliable, safe, and affordable option to connect to a job or school. And we accomplished this with mayors and city council members and the regional council on mayors who are connected to their communities and invested in a prosperous future. We accomplished this with the partnerships from communities that leverage our transit investments into livable communities and the type of development that is efficient, healthy, and vibrant. And we have much more to accomplish in housing and building communities that are prosperous. We have much more to accomplish in maintaining our world-class park system and opening it up to everyone. And we have much more to accomplish, much more to accomplish to eliminate the opportunity gaps that we face here in this region. We have much more to accomplish in enhancing and expanding our transportation and transit network. There is so much more we can and must accomplish. We must work together, and we can build new and long-lasting partnerships. I want us to leave here today with a sense of pride in much of what we have done together, and a sense of urgency and purpose about what we must do together. Thank you.